Hello everyone, this is Mr. Ege. I'm going to demonstrate in this particular AutoCAD session how to design a vertical wind blade, vertical wind turbine blade. And the vertical wind turbine blade, okay, is a three-dimensional application of regular traditional turbine blades, and there are some advantages, disadvantages as well, but advantages is probably heavier than the disadvantages. One of the things about the vertical wind turbine blade is it doesn't require a joint, additional joint, because of the changing direction of the winds. Any direction of the wind, okay, will enable to rotate the wind turbine blade because of the three-dimensional nature of it. So this is something we should pay attention, perhaps, in real-world applications, and we may get a whole lot more energy from the vertical wind blades. So I am just going to use the AutoCAD, and my expertise is on multiple CAD systems, but AutoCAD is one of the first CAD system that is introduced very successfully the rest of the world and became a industrial standard program used by the architects, engineers, civilians, military, government, you name it, pretty much everyone. So initially, now there are quite a few programs available, but still this AutoCAD is becoming, is continuing to become the standard CAD system commonly used. If you apply for a job or employment, any place, any company, any organization, probably the first question you will be asked is, do you know AutoCAD? How to use AutoCAD? Revit, Inventor, and 3D Studio Max are also standard programs, and you're going to have enough experience to become expert on each one of them this year and next year, coming years. So let's focus on the vertical wind blade. This is going to be a smaller model version of vertical wind blade, and we're going to initially create one single blade, and then we're going to make 3 copies around the circle, okay, sphere. For that, because it's so small, the height is going to be only 6 inches, okay? So I'm suggesting start your AutoCAD, okay? As soon as you start off AutoCAD, there are a number of things you should be doing. For example, units are important. Set your units to engineering units, okay? And it's asking me a question regarding to a particular signing in process, and it's asking me regarding whether I would like to be part of the survey and study, and apparently they send me, but we did not receive that, so I'm going to just turn it off. And one of the things first we want to do, click on the A icon, red A icon on the upper left-hand corner, right over here. And probably you don't see it, but you will, when you start AutoCAD, you will see it. And on the menu, user interface, when you click on the red A or AutoCAD icon, drawing utilities, under the drawing utilities, you will see the units. Okay, there are a number of other things together with it. For example, drawing properties. And current drawing properties, for example, gives you the option to keep track of what is recorded together with your drawing. Okay. On the other hand, when you go to the, say, drawing utilities, there are units, for example, in the middle. Units is important because I want units as accurate as possible. There are so many different units, and each one of them is good for so many different applications. So decimal units, while may be good, if you focus on engineering units, you'll get the up to 10,000ths of an inch accuracy. It's a very small fraction, hairline fraction of accuracy of the model that you're designing. It's an international light units, okay, and so on. So you okay it, okay, and this is accepted. Also check the limits. Limits, as long as you're working small objects, it's not a big deal. But for larger objects, okay, default is 0,0, and it's a rectangle, and 12 inches by 9 inches, okay? And you can accept that, okay, that default, okay? And zoom all, you enter Z, enter A, enter, and adjust your screen. Also, there are a number of other things. For example, there are snaps here. You may wanna, this is your productivity tool. At the lower right-hand corner, there are a number of icons. One of them is grid mode. It shows you a ghost image of a grid, and sometimes it's useful, but not in this case. But the snap is a very cool item. Grid snap is extremely important. And snap settings, for example, I can look at half inch to half inch. What it is ability your cursor to stop accurately at every so many inches. If you can set it to 1/8 of an inch, 1/10 of an inch, 16 of an inch, 30 seconds of an inch, or in some cases. Now, what is the advantage of it? The advantage of having snap on is that for basic dimensions like 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 3 inches, you don't have to enter type numbers. Instead, cursor will show you immediately exactly how much it is, and it's convenience, and it's called productivity tool, a productivity tool. There are multiple productivity tools. This is called something polar tracking, for example. It's about the direction of the changes in 3D world. Object snap, again, endpoint, midpoint. This is definitely very useful. Intersection point, extension points, and so on. This shows you on the screen, okay, what you're snapping onto. Object snap tracking is also good, because when you have the object snap tracking on, and if you're drawing a line, for example, starting or ending a line, whatever there is end of the line or arc or circle, it is close to or it's lining up to, it shows you in dotted lines. It's a very convenient tool, useful, okay, and quick properties, okay, that enables you to change the options like layers and colors instantly. Okay, selection cycle and so on. We don't want all of them here. Most of them are convenient when you feel like it is convenient. So okay that. So it turned up, and so far so good. And another thing, you have to think about, make a decision. Are we working on 3D world and 2D world? If it's 3D world, it's going to be a different application. So we are going to be working on 3D world. So I'm setting my the 3D modeling. I'm setting my workspace switching. Workspace is the name of the ribbon on the top. Pull down menu. We used to call the pull down menu. Now it's changed to ribbon. Now it's just called workspace in general. So workspace, okay, 3D modeling. I set it up to 3D modeling. Okay. And next thing to do, perhaps going to the front view. Okay. And you can change your angle so that Z, okay, showing up. It's very important that Z direction, okay, is showing up the height. It's very important that X option is showing the distance, length from left to right, like that. So, and it's also very important that Y direction shows the depth or the distance between front and rear, okay? So you have to set up your directions correctly in the very beginning, and you can manipulate this, okay, either use a coordinate system or using the view cube on the top right-hand corner. Now, why am I making a big deal out of this? Well, there are certain things I know about AutoCAD that, for example, this is going to be a convenient tool for you and enables you to understand other things, other operations later on. For example, um, you can create a line, any line, on the XY plane only. But if you want to create any line on the 3D world, XYZ plane, Z space, not plane anymore, then you have to use uh, 3D polyline. Okay, 3D polyline or spline will work. Okay, but if you're using the line commands, you're only operating on XY plane. How do you draw a line in the 3D world? Well, you rotate the UCS so that XY plane is perpendicular to your view. But in time, you will see applications of everything I am saying. It may not make sense at the moment, as much as it makes sense to me right now. All right, so let's move on and let's create a 6-inch line. I want this to be, because it's 3D poly line, it's 3D space. I want this to be 3D polyline. I can type 3D poly, and get it over with. But I want you to find out also where the 3D polyline is on the screen, on the menu, on the ribbon. Okay, right here. And apparently this here. Click here. Okay, now computer is prompting you. This is a command line area. 0, 0, enter. Okay. Now computer is asking you where to create this line. I'm going to turn off the snap. Okay, I'm going to type 0, 0, 6-inch. Enter. So, and then I'm going to zoom out my rolling back, my thumb wheel of my mouse. Okay. By the way, if you press the mouse, you can move your objects on the screen. You can move screen left and right, up and down. When you press it, keep it pressed as long as you move your mouse together with the mouse. And if you want to zoom in, roll the thumb wheel in. If you want to zoom out, roll back your thumb wheel. Okay, this is so important because this is your virtual space. The dimensional space, the screen you have in front of you is your virtual space. You should have a full control of it. Like imagine you are in the space, literally. But this is what you see in your screen, and that's how you control spaceship. Okay, thumb wheel is a big help. Of course, you have left mouse button, right mouse button, but also thumb wheel. Thumb wheel rolls forward and backwards. Also, thumb wheel can be squeezed down. All of these are your controls and how well you do your job, depending on how well you control those buttons. 3 buttons, but you have like multiple options, quite a few options. Okay, so so far so good. We have the literally 6-inch high line. Okay, and there's a concept of, by the way, concept of generating layers. So each layer is important, and as you can see, there is a layer, 0 layer by default. But if you want to add a new layer, okay, you need to go to layer command and make it. And see, how do you add a layer? The layer command, a dynamic dialog or layer command, or layer command. And then you have a layer dialog box. And the layer dialog box shows you the color of the layer and what the default current layer is. But what if you want to create a new layer? So there's a new layer icon on the top. Click on it. You have a new layer. Now, but how do you change the color of the new layer? Let's go to yellow. Yellow is a good color, and let's make the new layer yellow. Okay, and is new layer current? Well, as long as it is selected, it is current. Okay, so you can close this. All right, or leave it up there. It's up to you totally how you do it. Okay, and now you want to create a line from the bottom of the line. So again, 3D poly, and this time I'm typing 3D poly, literally the way you see it, enter, okay? And I'm finding the end of the line, My cursor has the object snap on, so it finds the end of the line very accurately. And it's going to be 2-inch line, so I'm going to type 2, comma 0, comma 0, enter. Okay. Well, this line didn't turn out to be in the current layer. So how do we change that? Click on the line, because it would have been yellow otherwise. So when I click on it, highlight it, and then I go to properties, and then change the layer to layer 1. Okay, and then it's layer, now it's yellow now. Okay. How do you make a current layer? Double click that. Okay. A new layer can be made current by just simply double clicking. Just remember that, it's important part. Okay. And now that we created a 2-inch line, we can continue the rest of it. What do I want to do? I want to make a copy of this line at every 1 inch, all the way up to the top, except the last moment, last point. Okay. I can make this copy with the copy command, 1 at a time, 1 inch at a time, and so on. But I want to make it instantly. I want to make it with the array command. Okay, faster, and it's more productive. So I'm going to type like array 3D, or is it 3D array? 3D array, and enter. Okay, it's apparently it's 3D array. I select the line, click, enter. Now it's asking me whether it's a rectangular or polar. Polar means circular array. We don't want the circular copy at this time yet, but we want rectangular. And the R that you see on the command menu between two chevron marks is actually indicates that default is R if you press enter key. So you do press enter key. Okay. Now it says number of the rows. Number of the rows, how many rows you have on the X plane, just one. And number of columns, it's asking you how many copies do you want on the on the Y direction of the XY plane, just one. Now it's asking me number of the levels. I say 7. Okay, why? Because it's a 6-inch. I want 1 copy per 1 inch, so 7 is good number. Enter. Now it's asking distance between levels, 1 inch. Enter. So I did not get what I want. um, why not? Zoom previous. Wait. Erase. Here, this is how you erase. Let's find out what's going on. Okay. DIST, distance command. Is this a 6-inch line? It is. Yeah. And do we have 3D poly? Okay. Starting point is 0, 0, 1 inch. Enter. And then the 2-inch away. At. Okay. At means starting from where I end this line, where I started measuring this distance at, and that's 0, 0, 0. I'm sorry. 3D poly, enter, and starting point 0, 1. Okay. And at means now at, which is shift 2. Okay. 2 comma 0 comma 0, enter. Okay, now I'm going to go with the array 3D, enter. I'm going to try this one more time and see if it's going to work. Sometimes if it does, something doesn't work, then you don't have to try it. You try it in a different way. Select the objects, enter. No, that's not an array, even array command. Array 3D, array 3D. 3D array, you select the object, okay, and it's rectangular array. You go rectangular option, number of the rows, just one, and number of the columns, just one, and number of the levels, say 5, distance between levels 1 inch. That's exactly what we wanted to have. This time we got it right. Cool. So go to the front view, click on the view cube front where it says in the view cube, okay, and then we also need an ellipse, okay, to be created. Of course, this is the time to save your work, okay, so go to save option and find your student drive, OneDrive, your, okay. I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to go to my drive and I'm going to go to vertical wind turbine, save it under the name vertical wind turbine blade, okay, enter. It is saved. Now I need to create an ellipse, and I'm going to find the ellipse command not under the circle but center, okay, and 2 radius of ellipse. So that center happens to be midpoint, okay, one end is top end, and I have to find the endpoint. Here's the problem that I mentioned to you. Z-axis is showing up, and my UCS is not proper UCS. See, the Z and X is showing only on my screen. This is not a proper UCS to create an ellipse. I have to have X and Y axis showing up so that I can create an ellipse. Remember I said in the very beginning that you can create only the regular lines, ordinary lines, and circles and ellipses on XY plane. That's the rule in general. This is the way AutoCAD is created, so we cannot argue that rule. So we type UCS, enter, and then we type V for view, enter. So UCS corrected itself to the view so that I can see X and Y plane right in front of me. Now I can go with the ellipse command, okay, select the center point and 2 radius ellipse option, click and click. Now in the right direction, I'm going to turn the ortho on so that I can go perfectly. I want to go 2.5 inches to the right, okay, so it's already highlighted, so I can type 2.5 and enter. I can get a perfect ellipse with the 2.5 radius, okay? Now remember, length of the line is 6 inches, so the radius, vertical radius, is 3 inches, and the width, horizontal radius, is 2.5 inches. So we're going to extend those lines to the ellipse, okay? And I'm going to do just that. And there's the extend command. And if you go to extend command, there's a trim showing up. Under the trim, click on down arrow. There's extend command. So you choose, it says boundary edges, select one. I click on the boundary edges and I click on the ellipse and enter. because ellipse is my boundary edge, and I'm showing the computer boundary edge. Now I'm selecting each line that is not reaching to the ellipse. Okay, now enter. I'm done. But also I see two more lines passing the ellipse. For those, I need trim command. And trim is similar to extend. Under the extend, I will find the trim. And in the trim, it says cutting edge option. I select the cutting edge option. I select the ellipse, press enter key. Now I zoom in so that I can click the line that exceeds, intersects the ellipse. And now they are cut off as well. Cool. Enter key. Now I go Control S for save, which is good. Okay. All right. So I want you to do. Now we can go back to UCS again. Type UCS. Enter. Enter. Back to normal. Change your angle. Okay. Not sure how I'm going to do that. Okay, this is better. So here is what we're going to do. I changed my angle using the view to cube. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rotate each one of them so that when I created one of the three blades on 3D Zoom, okay, it gives me 120 degrees of rotation. One single blade 3D world should rotate, turn about 120 degrees. Where is it coming from? 120 degrees comes from when you divide the 360 degrees by 3, because I'm going to have 3 blades, and 3 blades is supposed to rotate 360 degrees, or full circle. I'm dividing 360 by 3, and I get 120. So, for the 120 degree of rotation for each line, how many lines do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 lines. So 120 divided by 5, okay, will be 24 degrees. So what's the deal with that? The deal with that is each line has to rotate 24 degrees at a time more than previous line. So first line will rotate 24 degrees. The second line rotate twice as much, 48 degrees. And the third line, $60, 84 degrees, right? 3 times 24, 72 degrees. That is 72 degrees, and 84 degrees. So 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? And after that, 96 degrees, okay? So 24, 48, 50, 60, 72, 72, 24 more, 96 degrees, and the last item will be 120 degrees. So here's my rotation schedule: 24 degrees, 48 degrees, 72 degrees, 96 degrees, 120 degrees. Okay? All right. And how do I do that? There is a rotate 3D command. 3D. And it will ask you to select object. Enter. Then it will ask you what direction you want to rotate around, what axis. The axis is asking you, actually the z-axis. You want the z-axis to be pivot. So you pick the z-axis. First line, end of the first line, intersecting the z-axis. So this is my way of saying this is the z-axis, okay, that I am making reference to. Now it says rotation angle. First one is 24 degrees. So I'm typing 24, enter. Rotation done successfully. So I'm going to cross my 24 degree rotation, okay? Enter. When you enter, rotate 3D command comes back. Now this time I'm choosing the second one from the bottom, second line from the bottom, click and enter. Now it says what axis? Well, z-axis again, click. It says select the point on the z-axis. I select end of the line where it intersects with the z-axis. Okay, now it says rotation angle. Rotation angle this time will be 2 times 24 degrees, 48 degrees. So I type 48, enter. And rotation is already made for 48 degrees. Cool. And then I cross the 48-degree rotation. Enter again, and rotate 3D comes back. Select the object, move your cursor over and click on it. Enter. It says what axis? Z-axis. Pick the z-axis at the end of the line. Okay. And now it's asking me angle. Rotation angle is 72. So we're typing 72. Enter. So cool. That's done. Okay, we have 2 more rotation to do. Enter key. Select the object. Select the next line. Okay. Enter. And what axis? Z-axis. Select the end of the line. Okay. Now rotation angle. That has to be 96 degrees. 96. Enter. Okay. We are done. Down to one single rotation. And 100. So enter again. Rotate 3D command comes back. You select the line, end of the line, enter. Select the end of the, select the z-axis option, then select the end of the line. Now it's asking rotation angle 120 degrees, 120 degrees. Enter. So we are all done. Okay, so far. And save your work because you did a lot of work. I did a lot of work. You did a lot of work. So if you're following this so far, and if you have any problems, call me, of course. Now, what do we do with these? Why do we rotate them? Well, first of all, we rotate them so that we can create a path line for the loft command to generate the wind turbine, vertical wind turbine blades profile. We're going to draw a profile and then we're going to use the loft command. Okay. So how do I draw the path line? Well, best fit for the path line is spline command. I can type spline command. I wonder if there's a spline command icon. Yes, there is. So you click on that. You pick the spline command. I'm going to turn off object snap. Okay, you pick the second end of the line. You pick the third end of the line. You pick the one before last and one next to it, and enter. Okay. So in order to see the spline, I will use orbit command just to see the shape of the spline. How cool is this? It's really very cool. Okay. It's really very nice. Okay. This is going to be the path line. Okay. So save your work, obviously. And okay. So now we are supposed to generate a profile. Okay. What is the best way of creating a profile? Again, for profile creation, okay, we need the UCS command to be perpendicular to this line. So I'm going to type UCS, enter, okay, and pick the end of the line and pick the end of the line here, okay, enter. I want the XY plane, okay, perpendicular to the line I just drew. So I am typing UCS again, or just entering again. UCS comes back. Turn the Y. I'm going to use the Y to rotate, and 90 degrees rotate. Okay. This is the second UCS command, so that XY plane is perpendicular. And finally, I want to move it to the tip of the line. So again, enter, UCS comes back. This time I'm going to pick the end of the line, enter. Okay. Okay, so if I turn orbit a little bit, okay, that will give me a better look, better view of the user coordinate system. Okay. All right. And that will give me ability to draw lines, draw a profile. I am setting my screen with the orbit command is as convenient as possible so that XY plane right against me, over me. Okay. All right, escape. So what kind of line do I need to create? Regular polyline will work for me. Okay, so I use PL for polyline. Okay, and
Good morning, TriPack. Traffic 2. Please find the interruption as we begin our
I'm going to
morning
continue this
Please
session
stand for the
next
Pledge of
class.
Allegiance.
And thank you very much for your attention. In the next session,
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
and
United States of America
thank you.
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.